Hello and welcome back to the Slow Fire Chef. Remember, like, subscribe, comment. We love you. When a non-Bengali person tells you that I love Macher Jhal, it really throws a Bengali person into a tiz, because there are like a gazillion fish preparations in Bengal. There is jhol and there is jhal, and there are of course all the fries and the dry preps and stuff like that. But Macher Jhal basically means fish with a light gravy, which is less spicy and easier on the stomach and can be had on a daily basis. Jhal is normally special preps, spicy, weddings, festivals, stuff like that, or on a special weekend if your mother or grandmother is feeling generous, then they make a Macher Jhal for you. So it was one of these generous days when Amit, I think, was our second date meaning he'd come home. My mother fed him this Macher Jhal with cumin. And I think that was the day it was sealed. Amit fell in love with my mother's cooking, and he realized if he wanted to get more of this food, he would have to see more of me. So poor guy had no choice after that. So today I'm going to share with you the Macher Jeere Bata Jhal recipe. The main ingredient in this is cumin, Jeere Bata, so cumin paste. In the old days, of course, they used to grind it on the stone, the silbatta, and the house would be filled with this amazing aroma. Nowadays, we have the advantage of powders, so I actually prefer not to use a ready-made powder from a shop. I prefer making my own powder at home in the dry grinder, and that's what I do every time I'm making Jeere Bata Jhal. This is probably the simplest fish curry recipe you will ever come across. Because there is absolutely nothing to it. You just marinate the fish and then you dunk it in the oil and it's done. So the other ingredients are a little bit of turmeric, salt of course, a little bit of ginger, a couple of bay leaves, a potato, which a Bengali fish curry is never complete without, and red chili powder if you eat it, and of course fresh green chilies. That's very important. I'm using ragu. There are 6 pieces over here, so that would be around 500-600 grams, and it wasn't a very big fish, so it will be slightly bony. You can make this with rawas. I think I have made it once with kingfish. It came out pretty good, but carp is the ideal fish of choice. The first step is of course marination, and once you put the marinade, just leave it there for at least half an hour to an hour, and then you come back and cook it. So the marinade takes salt, about half a teaspoon of turmeric, red chili powder, about 1 teaspoon grated ginger, 1, 2, 3. Cumin is the only spice in this fish curry, so be generous with it. It's got a lot of medicinal qualities and the fragrance is amazing. 4. And to bind it all, I'm going to use raw mustard oil. Give it all a good mix. You can already get the aroma. So now that it's marinated, I'm just going to cover it, leave it for an hour, and come back to cook. thing I noticed about Bengali cooking, which is that all the vegetables that are chopped and kept ready for cooking, they're always marinated with a little bit of salt and turmeric. I guess it adds to the taste, because I have been lazy a few times and fried the parmal or fried the potatoes without any salt or haldi, marinating it earlier, and it didn't taste the same. So I guess it's a nice trick. Add a little salt and turmeric to your vegetables before you cook them. It's been around half an hour and Amit is getting very hungry, so I'm going to cook the fish, and the first thing I'm going to do is, of course, heat the oil. I've put around a tablespoon and a half of mustard oil. Hot oil and a few bay leaves. As you can see, I haven't really heated the oil too much because I want the sting of the mustard oil to remain in the oil and not burn out when I cook the fish. So the potatoes go in, and despite the splutter, you stand a little away so that the splutter doesn't get onto you. Cover it and let it cook on slow fire. Been around 5-6 minutes and I think the potatoes are done. Let's check. Yeah. See, the haldi gives it such a beautiful color. Like golden potatoes. I'm going to add the fish now. The tail piece first. If you notice, I'm putting the fish directly on the oil, moving the potatoes away, so that whatever masala there is on the fish also gets a little bhuno, fried. And with this remaining masala that's here, I'm going to add a little water to it and add it to this before I shut the lid again. That's like half a cup. Let me just check this for salt. Yummy. I think it needs a little more salt, so I'm going to add that. And of course, the green chillies. Now lower it, cover it. These fitting lids are such an advantage when you're cooking fish, because you just cover it and pick it by the handles and swill it around so that you don't have to stir it with a spoon and break the pieces in the bargain. Once you've covered the lid, all you need to do is keep it there for around 5 minutes, come back, check it. If you want, you can turn the fish around once and keep it for another 2 minutes, and that's it. You're ready to serve. Time to check. Amazing aroma. I'm going to give it a couple of more minutes for the fish to cook on the other side as well. Meanwhile, let me tell you about the first time ever that I cooked fish. I was all of 18 years old. Calcutta was flooded. It was actually my 18th birthday, and Ma had gone off to her parents' home for some ceremony or festival or something like that. And because Calcutta was flooded, Dad was general manager of the airport, and he was bringing people home because there was nowhere else for them to go. I had to actually cook for them. Dad had brought back, he'd gone to look for Ma, and he came back with a fish. He said, I couldn't find your Ma, but I found a fish. So that fish was chopped and cut, and he said, okay, cook this for the guests. And I didn't know what to do, so I put all the masalas into it that I could find in the kitchen. And then when I tasted it, it wasn't quite right, so I added a nice dollop of Ajinomoto. Oh my god, that fish went down like nobody's business. Time for plating, though Bengali fish curry doesn't really get plated like that, but since we are shooting and being very stylish, we should plate. As you can see, there's no gravy really, it's more like a masala and oil. The main flavor in this is of course the cumin and the mustard oil. You cannot do away with that. If you sort of mix the potato with the rice, I love doing that. You know, whichever friends I've cooked this for, non-Bengalis especially, they have loved it. They have freaked out on it. There was a time when it actually ran short because everybody sort of like really dug into it. So do try it. Look at how the fish is beautifully cooked. And you don't fry the fish before cooking it. It's made with the raw fish marinated. So look at this. Beautifully cooked, flaky. All that mustard oil with the cumin flavor and the ginger, it's all got in, and it's nice and spicy as well, thanks to the green chillies. Of course, if you want it spicier, you sort of squash this into your rice and then eat it. That's what a true Bengali does. And this is probably the simplest recipe for a fish curry, and it is one of the yummiest. Jeere Bata Jhal, don't forget. Jeere Bata Jhal is totally different. Next time you ask a Bengali to make you fish Macher Jhal, remember to be specific about what kind of jhol you want, and whether you want jhol or you want jhal, because they're very different. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope you'll try this recipe. It's very simple and really yummy. And see you next week. Have a good weekend.